He was just a lonely cowboy passing through when he tasted the Apache wedding food. But when the chief stood up and said, "Whoever eats becomes the groom," the woman froze, and everyone around fell into absolute silence. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. It was probably my fault anyway. The words were for the horse, because there was no one else to hear them. Jake Callahan shifted in the saddle, his eyes on the empty horizon. The Arizona sun was a heavy white weight. His horse, Duke, flicked one ear back. "I mean it," Jake said, his voice a dry rasp. "Man doesn't just lose a job like that. Must have done something wrong." The land around them was the color of dust and rust. Big red rocks stood in the distance like silent giants. It had been 3 days since he left the last ranch. 3 days of dry bread and quieter thoughts. Duke plodded forward, his head low. Jake patted the horse's neck. "You're the only one, Duke. The only one who hasn't given up on me." He was so tired. Not just from riding, but from the inside. His body felt thin, like a worn-out rope. He had not eaten a real meal in 4 days. His canteen was light, the water inside warm and tasting of leather. Then he heard it. At first it was just a feeling in the air, a vibration, then a sound, a deep, steady drumming. It was far away. Under it he could hear voices, many voices rising and falling together in a song. Jake straightened in the saddle. Duke's ears pricked forward. "You hear that, boy?" Jake whispered. "That's people." It was the first sound of other people he had heard in days that wasn't his own voice. The loneliness that sat in his chest like a cold stone shifted. He was curious, and he was so hungry. Where there was music, there might be food. Maybe they would let him work for a meal. He turned Duke toward the sound. It came from a wall of red rock that looked solid, but as they got closer, Jake saw a crack, a hidden opening, just wide enough for a man and a horse. The music was louder now, echoing from inside the canyon. He stopped at the entrance. The cool shade from the tall rocks felt good. "This ain't our place, Duke," he said. But his stomach growled, a sharp, painful twist. The smell of wood smoke and something rich and savory curled out from the crack in the rock. It was the smell of meat cooking. His mouth watered. He thought about turning around. He was a stranger. This was not his business. But the music was happy, the smell was good, and he was so alone. "Just a quick look," he told his horse. "Maybe they got a little work. Maybe they'll spare a bite." He nudged Duke forward into the shadow of the narrow path. The world of open, empty sky closed behind them. The drumming grew until he could feel it in his bones. The singing voices wrapped around him. He followed the twisting path, drawn by the promise of life and warmth. He did not know it then, but with every step Duke took, Jake Callahan was leaving his old, lonely life behind forever. He was riding straight into a new one. The narrow path opened up. Jake's tired eyes grew wide. He was in a hidden village, tucked inside a circle of towering red rocks. Below him on the flat ground were many round houses made of wood and earth. A clear creek cut through the middle, but it was the people who made his breath catch. Many Apache men, women, and children were gathered in a wide open space. They wore clothes of soft-colored leather decorated with beads. Some were dancing in a circle to the steady beat of a large drum. Others were singing. The air was full of sound and movement and the most wonderful smells. Jake smelled smoked meat. He saw racks of corn roasting over fires. His stomach made a loud, empty sound. He slid off Duke, his legs stiff. He led his horse slowly down the last part of the path. No one seemed to notice him at first. He felt like a ghost, watching a world full of color and life. An old man sitting near the edge of the crowd looked up. His eyes were dark and calm. He did not look angry, just curious. "Hello," Jake said, his voice small. He touched the brim of his hat. I was riding by. I heard the music." The old man nodded slowly. He said something in a language Jake did not understand. Then he pointed toward the center of the celebration where the food was. His gesture seemed kind. "Thank you," Jake said. He tied Duke to a low post, giving him a pat. "Wait here, boy." He walked into the crowd, feeling every eye. But people were smiling. They were happy. A woman with a kind face handed him a piece of warm, flat bread. It was sweet and good. He ate it in 2 bites. Then he saw the stew. It was in a large clay pot, bigger than a bucket, resting on stones near a fire. Steam rose from it. The smell was rich and deep. No one was eating from it. They ate from other pots, but this one sat alone. Special. Jake's hunger was a sharp pain now. He saw a stack of empty bowls made from dark wood. He looked around. No one was watching the pot. It seemed forgotten. Asterisk. They gave me bread, he thought. Asterisk. Maybe this is for everyone. He took a bowl. He dipped the ladle into the pot. The stew was thick, full of meat and beans. He filled the bowl to the top. He found a quiet spot near a house and sat on the ground. He brought the first spoonful to his lips. It was the best thing he had ever tasted. The music stopped. It did not fade. It stopped all at once, like a cut string. The drumming ended. The singing ended. The only sound was the crackle of the fires. Jake lowered his spoon. He looked up. Every person in the village was looking at him. The happy smiles were gone. Their faces were frozen in shock. The dancers were still. The children were silent. A man stood up from a place of honor near the big drum. He was older, with a stern face and long silver hair in 2 braids. He wore a shirt decorated with intricate patterns. His eyes held Jake like a pin holds a bug. This was Chief Maka. He did not shout. His voice was low, but it carried across the silent village. "What have you done?" Jake scrambled to his feet, the bowl of stew still in his hand. I'm sorry. I was just hungry. I can pay for it." A young woman stepped forward from beside the chief. She was beautiful, with fierce dark eyes and a straight back. Her dress was more beautiful than the others, white and covered in fine beadwork. This was Leia, the bride. Her face was pale with disbelief. Chief Maka's gaze never left Jake. "That is the union stew. It is blessed. It is for the bride and groom only. It seals their promise." Jake's heart began to pound. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." "The law is ancient and clear," the chief said, each word heavy as stone. "It is unbreakable. Whoever eats the union stew will be the groom." The words did not make sense. Jake heard them, but they sounded like a different language. "The groom? But I'm not..." He looked at Leia. She stared back at him, her eyes wide with a mix of horror and fury. He looked at the bowl in his hand, the spoon still sitting in the stew. His mistake was in his hand, warm and real. "You have eaten the stew," Chief Maka said, "so the law must be followed. You will marry Leia, now." A cold fear, colder than any desert night, shot through Jake. This was not about a meal anymore. This was about his whole life. The silence after Chief Maka's words was heavy and complete. No one moved. Jake felt hundreds of eyes on him. The bowl of stew in his hand felt like it weighed 100 pounds. "This can't be," he said, his voice breaking. "There's been a mistake." "There has been a mistake," Chief Maka said. "You made it. Now we follow the law." Leia finally spoke. Her voice was tight like a pulled wire. "Father, this is not right. He is a stranger. He knows nothing." "He knows the law now," the chief said. He looked at Jake. "You will stay. You will marry. This is the way." Jake wanted to run. He looked toward the path where Duke was tied, but the faces of the men around him were serious. They would stop him. This was their home, their law. He was alone. The celebration was over. The food was put away. The people moved quietly, their happy mood gone. A space was cleared near the central fire. An elder woman came and stood before Jake and Leia. She spoke words in Apache. Another woman translated them into English for Jake. "Do you accept this union under the ancient law?" the translator asked him. Jake's mouth was dry. He looked at Leia. She stared straight ahead, her jaws set, refusing to look at him. He had ruined her life. He saw that now. A deep shame washed over him, colder than fear. "I do," he whispered. They asked Leia the same question. A long pause hung in the air. Finally, she gave one sharp nod. She did not speak. That was it. There was no party, no music. They were given a single blanket, woven with 2 patterns joined together. The elder woman placed it over their shoulders, one end on Jake, one end on Leia. It was the only thing that connected them. "It is done," Chief Maka said. The people went back to their homes. The sun was going down. Jake stood there, the blanket heavy on his shoulders. A young boy came and untied Duke. He led the horse toward a small home at the edge of the village. Leia turned and walked that way without a word. Jake understood. He followed. Her home was small, made of wood and earth. It had one room. There was a hearth for fire, a low bed piled with furs, a storage chest, and a simple table. Leia walked inside. She took the blanket from her shoulders and folded it neatly, placing it on the chest. She did not look at Jake. "I'm sorry," he said from the doorway. She said nothing. She took a fur from the bed and laid it on the hard-packed floor near the fire. Then she pointed to the bed. "For me?" Jake asked, confused. "You are the husband," she said, her voice flat. "The husband takes the bed. I will sleep here." "No, ma'am, I can't do that. I'll take the floor." "It is the way," she said, and her tone did not allow for argument. She sat on the fur, her back to him, and began to unbraid her long hair. Jake stood awkwardly in the doorway. Finally, he stepped inside. He took off his hat. He did not know where to put it. He set it on the table. He sat on the edge of the bed. It was silent except for the crackle of the low fire. "I didn't mean to cause trouble," he said to the quiet room. Leia did not answer. She lay down on the fur, wrapping herself in a thin blanket facing the wall. Jake lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling made of poles and clay. He thought about the wide-open sky, the empty trail. He thought about his loneliness. This was different. This was a cage he had built for himself and for this woman who hated him. The guilt was a physical ache in his chest. The next morning, Leia was gone when he woke. A piece of cornbread was on the table. He ate it, wondering if it was for him or if she had just left it. He went outside. He saw her by the creek, speaking with two other women. They looked at him, then looked away. He saw his mistake everywhere. He saw a broken section of fence near the horse corral. The posts were leaning. The branches woven between them were loose. It was something he could fix. It was a clear problem with a clear solution. He found some leather strips and a few straight branches. He did not ask permission. He just started to work. He pulled out the old broken pieces. He braced the leaning posts. He wove the new branches tightly, tying them with the leather. He worked all morning. His hands knew this work. It felt good to do something that made sense. At midday, he saw Leia watching him from a distance. She held a basket of laundry. Her face was unreadable. She watched for a long moment, then turned and walked away. Jake finished the fence. It was straight and strong. He patted it with a dusty hand. It was not much, but it was the first thing he had done right since he rode into White Rock. The straight, strong fence did not fix everything. But the next morning, a small bowl of cooked beans sat on the table beside the cornbread. Jake ate it slowly, wondering if it was a sign. He went outside. Leia was feeding the chickens. She did not look at him. "Thank you," he said. "For the food." She gave a small nod, scattering grain. "The fence is good. It will hold the foals." It was the first time she had spoken to him without anger in her voice. It was not friendly, but it was not sharp. "I can fix other things," he said, "if something is broken." She watched the chickens for a moment. "Why?" The question surprised him. "Why? Why do you fix things? You do not have to. You are trapped here by a law. You do not care about this place." Jake looked at his boots, dusty from the work. "I care that I caused a problem. Fixing a fence, it's a small thing, but it makes the problem a little smaller. I know how to do that much." Leia was quiet. She finished with the grain and brushed her hands on her dress. "Come," she said. She did not smile, but she walked toward the center of the village. Jake followed a few steps behind. People were starting their day. They looked at him, but their looks were less cold now. An older woman was struggling to lift a large clay water jar. Leia stopped. She looked at Jake, then at the jar. Jake stepped forward. "Ma'am, let me help you with that." The woman looked surprised, then relieved. She let him take the heavy jar. He carried it to her home and set it inside her door. "Thank you," the woman said. She said something in Apache to Leia. As they walked away, Jake asked, "What did she say?" "She said you are strong like a pack mule," Leia said, and for a second, the smallest flicker of something like humor touched her eyes. It was a joke. She said thank you. They walked past the horse corral. Duke was there, looking content. A young boy was trying to fix a small wooden cart. One wheel kept falling off. Jake crouched down. "See here," he said to the boy, his voice gentle. "The peg is worn out. It's too thin." He looked around, found a dry stick of the right thickness, and used his knife to whittle a new peg. He put the wheel back on. It held firm. The boy grinned and pulled his cart away with a happy rumble. Leia watched it all. When the boy was gone, she spoke. "I was to marry a man named Kowan from the Standing Pine village to the north." Jake straightened up. He did not interrupt. "It was not for feeling," she said carefully. "It was for strength. Our two villages together would be stronger. We could share hunting grounds. We could protect each other from men who want our land. My marriage was a promise of peace, a shield." She looked at Jake, her dark eyes serious. "You broke the shield." The weight of what he had done settled on him even more heavily. He had thought he ruined a wedding. He had ruined a treaty. "I'm so sorry, Leia," he said, and the words felt useless but true. "I was just so hungry and lonely. I saw the music and the food, and it looked like a place a man could rest. I did not see the rest." She studied his face. She saw the regret there, plain and open. "You talked to your horse," she said. Jake felt his neck grow warm. "Yes, ma'am." "Because you were lonely on the trail?" "Yes." She nodded slowly, as if this fact was a piece of a puzzle she was putting together. "You will be here a long time, maybe forever. You must learn how to be here." "I want to learn," he said. "Then watch." She turned to face an elder man who was walking toward them. As the man approached, Leia bowed her head slightly. She said, "Dasta Shije," her voice respectful. The man smiled and replied, touching his hand to his heart. After he passed, Leia looked at Jake. "That means, hello, my friend." You bow your head a little. You do not look straight into the eyes of elders right away. It is a sign of respect. Jake repeated the words, the sounds clumsy in his mouth. "Dasta Shije." "It is a start," Leia said. That afternoon, Jake saw a heavy, grinding stone had cracked. He spent hours finding the right rocks and cementing it back together with clay. As he worked, Leia brought him a cup of water. She did not speak, just handed it to him. He took it. "Thank you." She watched him drink. "The children like you," she said. "They are not afraid of you anymore." "Kids and horses," Jake said, wiping his mouth. "They usually know if a fella means well before people do." For the first time, Leia did not turn away. She stood there for a moment, in the quiet of the late sun, as if she was considering a new and very strange thing. Then she went back to her work. That night, when Jake came into the house, he saw the single folded blanket was gone from the chest. In its place were two fur beds, both on the floor, one on each side of the hearth. They were placed far apart, but they were both on the floor. The bed was empty. Jake looked at Leia. She was stirring the cookpot, her back to him. She said nothing. He did not say anything either. He knew it was not an invitation. It was not friendship, but it was a space, a small, careful space where they could both exist without the heavy weight of the bed and the law between them. It was a start. The quiet space between their two beds lasted for 7 days. Jake learned more words. He helped carry water. He repaired a saddle for one of the hunters. In the evenings, Leia would sometimes tell him the names of things in her language. Bowl, fire, horse. The lessons were short and practical, but they were not angry. On the 8th morning, the peace shattered. Jake was brushing Duke when he felt the change. The birds stopped singing. The normal sounds of the village, children laughing, women talking, fell silent. He looked up. Coming down the narrow canyon path was a group of 6 men on horseback. They were Apache, but they were not from White Rock. Their clothes were different. They wore more paint. They sat tall and straight on their horses. The man at the front was younger than Jake, with a proud, sharp face and eyes that scanned the village like a hawk. This was Kowan. The people of White Rock gathered, their faces worried. Chief Maka walked forward to meet the visitors. Kowan stopped his horse very close to the chief. He did not get down. He looked past Maka, his eyes searching until they found Leia standing by her home. Then they moved to Jake, still holding the horse brush. "I heard a strange story," Kowan said, his voice loud and clear. I heard that my bride was taken by a ghost who eats wedding stew." A few of his warriors laughed, a harsh sound. Chief Mahka remained calm. "The ancient law was followed, Kowan. There was no disrespect to you. It was chance." "Chance?" Kowan swung down from his horse. He walked toward Jake. He was shorter than Jake, but broader, his body thick with muscle. He stopped a few feet away. "This is the man? This skinny cowboy is what replaced me?" Jake said nothing. He felt every eye on him. Kowan turned back to Chief Mahka. "This is an insult. To me, to my family, to my whole village. You give our promised alliance to this nothing. This demands an answer." "What answer do you seek?" the chief asked. Kowan pointed a finger at Jake, his arm strong and straight. "A fight. Him and me, right now. Let the spirits decide who is the true man for Leia." A murmur went through the crowd. Leia stepped forward. "Kowan, this is foolish. The law decided." "The law was tricked by a hungry fool," Kowan snapped. "I will not accept it." He glared at Jake. "Do you hide behind their skirts, or will you fight?" Jake's heart was beating very fast. He knew he would lose a fight. Kowan was a warrior. He was not. But he saw the anger. He saw Kowan's men with their hands near their knives. If he said no, it might mean a bigger fight. People could get hurt. He opened his mouth to speak, though he did not know what to say. Chief Mahka spoke first. "There will be no knife fight today. That is not our way to solve this." He looked between Kowan and Jake. "There is an older way, the way of 3 tests." Kowan's eyes narrowed. 3 tests? "Yes," the chief said. "You will compete in 3 trials of skill, not to first blood, but to victory. The winner will have his honor restored. The loser will accept the outcome. This will settle the matter without war between our people." Kowan thought for a moment. A slow, confident smile spread across his face. He looked Jake up and down. "You agree to this, cowboy? 3 tests? Or do you admit you are a coward and walk away now?" Jake felt frozen. He saw Leia watching him, her face tight with worry. He saw the faces of the villagers who had just started to not hate him. If he walked away, he would shame them all. If he agreed, he would lose. But losing a contest was better than starting a war. He dropped the horse brush. He made himself stand a little straighter. "I agree to the tests." Kowan's smile grew. "Good. The tests will be archery, a horse race through the stone canyon, and a wrestling match." He stepped closer to Jake, his voice low. "You will fail at all of them. And when you do, I will take back what is mine." He turned, mounted his horse, and looked at Chief Mahka. "We return to our village. We will come back when the moon is full. That gives your ghost," he said, nodding toward Jake, "a little time to learn how to be a man." With that, Kowan and his warriors turned and rode back up the canyon path. The silence they left behind was full of fear. The people looked at Jake. He saw pity in some faces. He saw doubt in others. Leia walked up to him. Her voice was a tense whisper. "You cannot win these tests." "I know," Jake said, staring at the empty path. "Then why did you agree?" He finally looked at her. "Because the other choice was a fight today. People would have been hurt, maybe killed. I caused this. I'll take the losing chance." Chief Mahka approached. He placed a hand on Jake's shoulder. It was heavy. "You have courage, but courage is not enough. You have much to learn and very little time. The full moon is in 14 days. 14 days. Jake felt the weight of every single one of them land on his shoulders. The 14 days felt like a heavy stone in Jake's pocket. Every sunrise meant one less day to learn. He started the next morning. He found a bow and a few arrows left for him near his home. They were simple, made of wood and sinew. He had used a rifle before, but never a bow. He stood in an empty field, trying to copy what he had seen the hunters do. He pulled the string back. His arms shook. He let the arrow go. It flew sideways and stuck into the ground only a few feet away. "You hold it like it is a snake that will bite you." Jake turned. Leia stood there, her arms crossed. She had been watching. "I don't know how," he admitted. "I see this." She walked over. She took the bow from his hands. Her movements were sure and smooth. "You are all shoulders. Your arm is tight. It must be loose." She knocked an arrow, drew the string back to her cheek and released it in one fluid motion. The arrow shot straight and buried itself in a distant tree trunk with a solid asterisk thump asterisk. Jake stared. "I can't do that." "Not today," she said. But maybe you can learn not to shame yourself. She handed the bow back, again, and do not squeeze the life out of it. She stayed, correcting his stance, his grip. Her instructions were short and clear. She did not smile, but she was not cruel. She was teaching him the way she would teach a child a necessary chore. As the sun rose high, a shout came from the canyon entrance. A lookout called down, "Rider coming, white man!" The village grew still. White riders were never a good sign. Chief Maka walked to the center of the village to wait. Jake and Leia followed, standing at the edge of the crowd. The man who rode in was unlike anyone Jake had seen here. He wore a dark suit and a hat that was too clean for the desert. His horse was a fine, nervous animal. The man had a wide smile that showed many teeth, but it did not reach his small, bright eyes. This was Silas Thorne. He tipped his hat. "Chief Maka, a pleasure to see you again." "Silas Thorne," the chief said, his voice flat. "You are not welcome here." Now, no need for that. I come as a friend." Thorne's eyes scanned the village, taking in the people, the homes. They lingered on Jake, noting his different clothes. "I heard there was some excitement, a change in arrangements." His smile stayed fixed. "I just wanted to offer my condolences and my services." "We need no services," Leia said, stepping forward. Her voice was cold. Thorne's eyes slid to her. "Ah, the bride. My dear, in times of uncertainty, it is good to have options. My offer for your land still stands, a fair price. You could start fresh somewhere else, no more complications." "Our home is not for sale," Chief Maka said. "Everything is for sale, Chief. It's just a matter of finding the price." Thorne's gaze moved back to Jake. "Or applying the right pressure." He tipped his hat again. "I'll be camping down by the river crossing if anyone wishes to talk business. Good day." He turned his horse and rode slowly out of the village, his back straight and confident. The people muttered angrily. Leia watched him go, her hands clenched into fists. "He smells blood in the water. Our trouble with Kawan is his opportunity." Jake felt a new kind of worry. This man was not like Kawan. Kawan's anger was hot and clear. This man's smile was cold and calculating. 2 days later, Jake was searching for a lost arrow in the rocky area east of the village. He heard low voices echoing off the stone. He recognized one voice. It was Kawan. Crouching low, Jake moved carefully toward the sound. He peeked over a ridge of rock. Below, in a hidden gully, Kawan stood with 3 of his warriors, and with them was Silas Thorne. They were talking quietly. Thorne was gesturing with his hands. Jake strained to hear. "A simple agreement," Thorne was saying. "You help create discord. Keep them looking at each other, not at me. When the village is weak and divided, I move in. You get what you want. The man gone, the woman shamed, and I get what I want." "And what do we get from you?" Kawan asked, his arms crossed. Thorne patted a large bag on his saddle. "Rifles, 10 of them, and ammunition. Enough to make your village the strongest in these canyons. And money. White man's money to buy supplies." Kawan was silent for a long moment. He stared at the bag. "The contest happened first. I will beat the white ghost. I will have my honor. After that, we will talk about your plan." Thorne's smile returned. "Of course, win your contest. Then we can discuss our future business." They shook hands. It was not a friendly handshake. It was a deal. Jake pulled back, his heart hammering against his ribs. This was worse than he thought. Kawan's pride was one thing, but this was a plan to destroy the village completely. Thorne was using Kawan's anger as a tool. He had to tell someone. He had to tell Leia and the chief. The contests were no longer just about a marriage. They were about survival. Jake did not walk back to the village. He ran. His breath burned in his lungs as he scrambled over the rocks, the terrible words pounding in his head with every step. Asterisk rifles, money, discord. He burst into the clearing near the horse corral. Leia was there, checking the hoof of a young pony. She looked up, her eyes sharpening at the sight of him. "What is wrong?" she asked immediately. "Where's the chief?" Jake gasped, trying to catch his breath. "In his home. Jake, what happened? I need to tell you both, right now." He led the way with Leia close behind. Chief Maka was sitting outside his home, carving a piece of wood with a small knife. He saw their faces and set his work down. "Speak," the chief said. The words tumbled out of Jake. He told them about looking for the arrow. He described the hidden gully, the meeting. He repeated every word he could remember about Thorn's offer and Koan's agreement. When he finished, the only sound was the distant cry of a hawk. Chief Maka closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them, he looked very tired. I knew Silas Thorn was a wolf, but I did not know Koan would choose to be his teeth. Leia's face was pale with fury. Koan would sell our people for guns? For white man's paper? He was supposed to protect us. His pride is wounded, the chief said slowly. A wounded animal is dangerous. It does not think of the pack. Thorn knows this. He is a smart wolf. Jake looked between them. The contests, they aren't just about me anymore, are they? No, Leia said, her voice tight. If you lose, Koan wins his honor. He becomes stronger in the eyes of all the villages. Then he helps Thorn break us apart. Our land will be taken, our homes destroyed. Chief Maka looked at Jake. If you win, Koan is shamed. His deal with Thorn means nothing. Our village remains whole. We can face Thorn together. The weight was immense. It was no longer about staying or leaving. It was about saving the only home he had ever started to belong to. I don't know how to win, Jake said quietly. Leia turned to him. Her dark eyes were no longer just angry or resigned. They were focused, like a hunter's. Then you will learn, not just a little. You will learn enough. The next morning, training changed. Before, Leia had been teaching him a chore. Now she was teaching him to fight for his life, for all their lives. Again, she said, as Jake's arrow missed the painted target on the tree and vanished into the bushes. He wiped sweat from his forehead. He went and found the arrow. He came back. He knocked it, drew the bowstring, and tried to quiet the shake in his arms. Your breath, Leia instructed, standing beside him. Do not hold it. Breathe out when you release. He breathed out and let the arrow fly. It hit the very edge of the target and stuck there, quivering. It hit, Jake said, surprised. It hit the wood, Leia corrected. It did not hit the mark, but it is better. Again. As they walked to collect the arrows, she spoke. Why did you not run when you heard their plan? You could have taken your horse and left this trouble behind. Jake pulled his arrow from the tree. I thought about it for a second. He looked at her. But these are your homes. You gave me food when I was hungry. The kids smile at me. That old man, the one who first saw me, he waves every morning. He shook his head. I've never had a place. I ain't gonna run from the first one that lets me in, even if I messed it up to start. Leia was quiet. She took her arrow from the center of the target. My father said a man's heart is not shown in his victories, but in what he chooses to protect. Later, she taught him to move quietly through the brush, placing his feet with care. It is not just for hunting, she said. It is for listening, for knowing what is around you before it sees you. While they rested by the creek, she asked, What was your family like? Didn't have one, Jake said, tracing a pattern in the dirt with a stick. Just different ranches, different beds. It was always temporary. That is a lonely way, she said. It's the only way I knew. He looked at her. Until now. Leia did not reply, but she handed him the water pouch first. The days passed this way, shooting arrows, learning the tricky path of the canyon for the horse race. Jake's body ached, but his mind was clearer than it had ever been. He had a reason. One evening after a long day, they sat outside her home. The first stars were coming out. You are still a bad shot, Leia said plainly. Jake almost smiled. I know. But you do not give up. That is something. She paused. Koan, he has never had to fight for anything. His place was given. His strength was expected. You are fighting for everything. That is a different kind of strength. She stood up to go inside. At the doorway, she stopped. She did not look back at him. Do not lose, Jake Callahan, she said softly. Then she went in. He sat under the stars for a long time, her words warming him against the cool night air. He was not just an outsider anymore. He was what they were depending on. The thought was terrifying. But for the first time in his life, it made him feel solid, like his feet were finally on the ground. The morning after Leia told him not to lose, the village felt different to Jake. The red rocks were not just a hiding place anymore. They were walls he needed to help defend. The people were not just strangers. They were his responsibility. He found Leia by the creek, filling water jars. "We need to talk to the chief again. All of us. Today." She heard the new seriousness in his voice. She nodded. "Now." Chief Maka was waiting for them, as if he knew they would come. He sat in the shade outside his home. "You have more to say." "It's about the contests," Jake began. He stood straight, looking at the chief, then at Leia. "If I lose, it's bad. Kawan gets his pride back, but it's worse than that. Thorn is counting on it. He wants Kawan to win." Leia set her water jar down. "Why?" "Because a proud Kawan is a strong Kawan," Jake said. "A strong Kawan gets his guns from Thorn, then Kawan turns on you. He helps Thorn cause trouble, break up the village. With the village weak and fighting itself, Thorn can take the land. My losing is the first step in their plan." Chief Maka leaned forward. "And if you win?" "Then Kawan is shamed," Jake said. "He loses face. His deal with Thorn falls apart because he has no power here anymore. The village stays united. You can face Thorn together as one." The chief was silent for a long time. He looked at the ground, then at the distant canyon walls. "I am an old man. I have seen many storms. This storm with Thorn has been growing for a long time. I thought Kawan's marriage would be a strong tree to weather it. But that tree fell." He looked at Jake. "Now a strange thin reed has grown in its place. I did not know if it would bend or break." "I'm still just a reed, Chief," Jake said. "But I won't break. Not if it means Thorn wins." Leia's hands were clenched at her sides. Her anger was a hot, quiet thing. "Kawan was my father's friend's son. He ate at our fire, and now he would sell our home for a bag of rifles." She turned to Jake, her eyes blazing. "You must win, not for a marriage, for every person here, for every child." "I will try with everything I have," Jake promised. The news spread through White Rock quietly, from the chief to the elders, then to the families. The people looked at Jake differently now. Before, he was a problem. Then, he was a clumsy student. Now, when he walked to the practice field, people nodded to him. A woman gave him a strip of dried meat. An old man pressed a smooth, lucky stone into his hand. The contests were no longer a strange punishment. They were a battle for the village's future. That afternoon, Jake practiced the horse race path with Duke. Leia walked the course with him, pointing out the dangerous turns, the loose gravel, the hidden dip in the ground. "Here, you must lean back," she said, showing him, "or Duke will lose his footing." "He's sure-footed," Jake said, patting Duke's neck. "We trust each other." Leia watched him with the horse. "You speak to him like a friend." "He is my friend. My only one for a long, long time." "Not your only one now," Leia said. The words were simple, but they hung in the air between them. Jake stopped. He looked at her. "Leia, I know this isn't the life you wanted. I know I took your choice away. But I want you to know, I am fighting for your choice now, for your people's choice to stay here. However this ends, that's the truth." Leia met his gaze. The anger in her eyes had softened into something more complex, something sad and strong and open. "I know," she said. "That is the only reason I am helping you, but it is a good reason." She reached out and adjusted his grip on the reins, her fingers brushing his. It was a practical touch, but it was not cold. "Now ride this section again, and do not fall off." As the sun began to set, painting the rocks in orange and purple, they walked back to the village side by side. For the first time, it did not feel strange. It did not feel forced. "What will you do?" Leia asked quietly. "If you win? If we stop Thorn?" Jake thought about it. The answer came more easily than he expected. "I'd like to stay, if I'm allowed. Keep fixing things, learn more, help protect this place." He glanced at her. "If that's all right." Leia did not answer right away. She looked at her home, at the smoke rising from the hearths, at the children playing a last game before dark. She looked at the man beside her, dusty and tired and trying so hard. "We will see what happens," she said finally. But her voice was not closed. It was thoughtful. It was the voice of someone starting to believe in a new path. The morning of the contests dawned clear and still. The entire village of White Rock stood gathered in the main clearing. Across from them stood Kawan and his warriors from Standing Pine. The air was tense and quiet. Silas Thorne sat on a rock at the very edge of the gathering, alone. He watched everything with his small, bright eyes and his thin smile. Chief Maka stood in the center. The 3 tests will decide this matter. The tests are archery, the canyon horse race, and the wrestling match. Each winner gains 1 point. The man with the most points wins all. Kawan stepped forward. He wore only a breechcloth and his body was painted with stripes of black and red. He looked strong and angry. Jake stood in his simple ranch clothes, feeling pale and thin in comparison. First test, the chief announced. Archery. 3 targets were placed against the canyon wall. Each man would shoot 3 arrows. The closest arrows to the center would win. Kawan went first. His movements were smooth and practiced. Asterisk thump, thump, thump. His 3 arrows landed in a tight cluster near the very center of the target. The warriors from Standing Pine cheered. Jake took his place. He felt every eye on him. He saw Leia, her face calm but her hands clasped tightly together. He took a deep breath, remembering her lessons. Asterisk. Do not hold it. Breathe out. He knocked his first arrow, drew the string, and released. It hit the target with a solid sound, well outside Kawan's cluster, but firmly in the outer ring. A murmur went through the White Rock people. He had hit the target. His second arrow landed close to the first. His third arrow wavered in his tired arms and struck the very edge of the wood. Kawan laughed. He shoots like a child throwing sticks. Chief Maka examined the targets. Kawan's arrows are closest to the center. Kawan wins the first point. Jake's shoulders slumped, but he nodded. He had expected this. Leia walked up to him as he collected his arrows. You hit the target 3 times. 2 months ago you could not hit a tree. It is not a win, but it is not a shame. The second test was the horse race. The course wound through a narrow, twisting canyon full of sharp turns and loose rock. The first man to return to the village clearing would win. Kawan mounted a tall, muscular paint horse. Jake patted Duke's neck. Just like moving cattle through the brush, boy. You know how to turn. The 2 men lined up at the mouth of the canyon. Chief Maka lifted his hand, then dropped it. Go! Both horses surged forward. The thunder of their hooves echoed off the stone walls. Kawan took an early lead, his horse powerful in the straight sections. But as the canyon narrowed and turned, Jake and Duke gained. Jake did not fight the reins. He leaned with Duke, his body moving as one with the horse. At a tight bend where the path was littered with stones, Kawan's horse skidded, losing its rhythm for a crucial moment. Duke never broke stride, picking his way through with instinctive care. They came out of the last turn neck and neck. The finish line was the clearing ahead. Jake leaned low over Duke's neck. Now, boy. Duke found a last burst of speed, his hooves pounding the earth. He crossed into the clearing a half-length ahead of Kawan's paint. The people of White Rock erupted in shouts. It was the first time they had openly cheered for Jake. Chief Maka announced, Jake wins the second point. The score is even. Kawan's face was dark with rage as he dismounted. Silas Thorne's smile had vanished. He watched Jake with a cold, new interest. Now there was 1 test left. The third test was the wrestling match. A circle was drawn in the dirt. The first man to be forced out of the circle, or to have his back and shoulders pinned to the ground, would lose. Kawan stepped into the circle, rolling his shoulders. Jake removed his shirt and stepped in. The difference was clear. Kawan was thicker, his muscles built for fighting. Jake was lean from work, but he was taller. They closed. Kawan's first move was fast, a grab for Jake's leg to throw him. Jake twisted away, remembering Leia's lessons about balance. They grappled, arms straining. Kawan was stronger. He pushed Jake backward, 1 step, then 2 toward the edge of the circle. Jaw clenched, Jake dug his heels in. He could not let himself be pushed out so easily. He shoved back, surprising Kawan with a burst of resistance. They broke apart, circling each other, both breathing hard. Kawan charged again. This time he got a firm grip. He lifted Jake off his feet and slammed him to the ground. The air rushed from Jake's lungs. Kawan landed on top of him, pushing his shoulders down toward the dirt. Jake struggled, but Kawan's weight was immense. He could not move him. He felt his shoulders inch closer to the ground. He heard the crowd gasp. He saw Leia's face, her hand over her mouth. Then, From the corner of his eye, he saw Silas Thorne. The man was leaning forward, his mean smile back, eager and hungry for the finish. He was not just watching a contest. He was watching his plan succeed. A new fire ignited in Jake's chest. This was not just about a fight. This was for Leia's home, for the old man who waved, for the children, for the right to stay. With a roar that came from a place he never knew he had, Jake bucked with all his strength. He twisted his body, breaking Koan's hold for 1 second. It was enough. He rolled, reversing their positions. Now he was on top, pressing down with every ounce of will he possessed. Koan thrashed, but Jake held on, his arms burning. He pushed down, until Koan's back was flat against the earth and both his shoulders were pinned in the dirt. The clearing fell completely silent. Chief Maka stepped forward. He looked at the two men in the circle. He spoke loudly and clearly. Jake wins the 3rd point. Jake wins the contests. For a moment, no one moved. Then a sound rose from the people of White Rock. It was not a cheer, but a deep, collective breath of relief. Koan pushed Jake off him and got to his feet. His face was a mask of humiliation and rage. He looked at Chief Maka, then at his own warriors, who stood silent and still. He had lost in front of everyone. This changes nothing, Koan spat, but his voice lacked its old power. It changes everything, Chief Maka said calmly. You made a deal with a wolf against your own people. Your honor is gone. Leave our land. Do not return. Koan's eyes darted to Silas Thorne, still sitting on his rock. Thorne gave a tiny cold shrug as if Koan was a tool that had broken and was no longer useful. With a final furious glare at Jake, Koan turned and mounted his horse. He did not look at Leia. He and his warriors rode out of the village, their heads low. The threat from the north was gone, but another remained. Silas Thorne stood up, brushing dust from his suit pants. He walked slowly into the center of the clearing, his smile back but now tight and unpleasant. A fine show, he said, clapping his hands together slowly 3 times. Very exciting, but it changes the real problem, doesn't it? I still have a claim. I still want this land. Chief Maka faced him. You have no claim here, only greed. Greed is a powerful claim, Thorne said. His eyes scanned the crowd. You have no treaty with the government. This is just a camp in a canyon. I have papers in Tucson that say this land is open for development. I have men. I have money. He took a step closer to the chief. You can leave quietly, with a little cash. Or you can be removed by force. The choice is yours, but my patience is done. Before the chief could answer, Jake stepped forward. He was bruised and breathing hard, but he stood between Thorne and the chief. They're not leaving. Thorne's smile twisted. The champion speaks. You won your little game. This is not a game. This is business. This is their home, Jake said, his voice steady. Leia moved to stand beside Jake, not behind him, beside him. Our home, she said, and her words were for everyone to hear. One by one, the men and women of White Rock stepped forward. They formed a line beside Jake and Leia and their chief. They were not holding weapons. They were just standing there, silent and solid. Thorne looked at the line of faces. He saw the old ones and the young ones. He saw the mothers holding children. He saw the hunters with their arms crossed. He saw the united front he had tried so hard to break. His smile finally disappeared. This is foolish. You cannot stop progress. We are not stopping progress, Chief Maka said. We are protecting our families. You will leave now. If you return, we will be ready, and we will not be alone. The stories of your actions here will reach other villages. You will find no friends in these canyons. Thorne's confidence wavered. He had counted on division. He now faced a wall. He looked at his fine horse, then back at the unmoving people. He knew he had lost today. This isn't over, he snarled, pointing a finger at the chief, then at Jake. I'll be back with lawmen, with more men. You haven't seen the last of me. We will be here, Chief Maka said simply. Silas Thorne mounted his horse. With one last hateful look, he turned and rode out of White Rock, following the same path Koan had taken. The tension broke. The people began to talk, their voices a mixture of worry and triumph. They had faced down 2 dangers in one day. Chief Maka turned to Jake and Leia. He put a hand on Jake's shoulder. You fought for more than yourself today. You are part of this village now. You have a home here for as long as you want it. Jake felt a warmth spread through his chest, stronger than any victory. Thank you, Chief. As the people returned to their homes, Jake and Leia were left alone in the clearing. The sun was beginning to set. He will come back, Leia said, watching the canyon path. I know, Jake said. But next time he faces all of us, together. Leia nodded. She looked at him, really looked at him. His tired eyes, his dusty face, the quiet strength that had been there all along. You said you wanted to stay, to help protect this place. I do. And what about this? She asked, gesturing between the two of them. This marriage that began with a stolen bowl of stew. The law forced it. What do you choose now? Jake took a deep breath. He thought of the lonely trail, the empty sky, the sound of his own voice talking only to Duke. He thought of her fierce pride, her careful lessons, the way she stood beside him. I choose to stay, he said. With you, if you'll have me. Leia was silent for a long moment. Then she reached out and took his hand. Her grip was strong and sure. The law brought a stranger, but today I saw the man. I choose for him to stay too. They stood there as the sun dipped below the red rocks, painting the sky in colors of fire and peace. The future was not certain. Thorn was still out there. But they were no longer a cowboy and a bride forced together by a mistake. They were Jake and Leia, standing side by side, ready to protect the home they had chosen.